Yo, what's happening? It is your boy Mints with another fantastic video. So, I've been working a lot on my new album, Klubkultur. Hammond, what the hell? Yeah, so Klubkultur is kind of a Euro, I hate using that word, but a Euro dance inspired album. It's mainly taking influence from like French house, so like bands like Justice and Daft Punk, but also just like the whole Berlin nightclub scene, like the 2000s and 90s, which, I mean, I wasn't exactly there to experience it. I've been to Berlin, don't get me wrong, but I was like a kid in the 2000s and I was a fetus in the 90s, so... But yeah, I mean, it's just, it's been quite a process. So this is an album I've kind of wanted to make a long time, but I haven't really been competent enough to make it. I think a lot of that just comes to, getting better as a producer, and I'm really hoping this ends up being like my magnum opus or something, but who knows. So a lot of what I'm doing for this album is, I'm doing a lot of the sequencing here, and oh my god, Hammond, you opened a window you shouldn't have opened. Buddy, I love you, but don't do that. Yeah, the cat's kind of blocking it, but I've been doing a lot of like the MIDI sequencing in Logic. And what I'm doing is I'm sending it out using like, a USB to MIDI cable out to the Rowan Juno. I got like an Alpha Juno 1 from like, I believe 1985. And I got a programmer, which you're going to see on the screen right about now. Or you might have already seen it. I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this. Buddy, you're really distracting me. So that's kind of like one of the big pieces of this album, was having a Rowan Juno and being able to mess around with the settings on that. Because like obviously the Alpha Juno is kind of like, it has more of a digital synth interface, if you know what I'm talking about. So like, the DX7, which is an FM synth, but you know what I'm talking about. Like it's a kind of like the Yamaha DX7 or the, Rowan D50, which I've also used extensively on my albums. A lot of menu diving in order to do anything, but if you buy, there's obviously the original PG-3000 or whatever, I'm not sure the name of it, but it's like an external controller you can plug in, and it gives you all the knobs, so you can like twist around the knobs like you would on a traditional analog synthesizer from that time. I didn't buy the official Roland one, I got the Juno CTRL, so Juno Control, and it does exactly what you'd expect it to do, and that's you control the parameters from, the little box, which I'll show that again. You're seeing it right now, probably. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the main centerpiece of this album, is having a Rowan Juno. I mean, that is kind of my dream synthesizer, if you couldn't tell. I mean, I'm also using the Moog a lot on it, which sure, we'll show a video of that too, I guess. And of course, I'm using my bass, my Ernie Ball Music Man Stingray, which is my, it's kind of like my go-to bass. I'm really trying to go for more of a dance music feel. I'm also kind of influenced by future funk, so I'm sure you've seen like the artsy music playlist on YouTube and all that stuff. I was largely into future funk and vaporwave for a while, if you couldn't tell. I mean, a lot of my aesthetic choices come from that. As you can see by the shirt, I'm also influenced by the Detroit and Chicago electronic scenes, which I have experienced firsthand in the last year. I went some music festival in Detroit. I just happened to be in the area, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll stop by. And in Chicago, I mean, it's hard to escape it there, so... I'm trying to make this more like a club set, like something you hear to rave, so... What I'm doing is I'm recording all of the songs in one project in Logic and, exporting them as individual tracks, not individual songs. It allows me to organically blend them into each other, if that makes sense. But the problem with that is it ends up being like 50 million fucking tracks in the bottom, which, that's fine. I can deal with that. I'm an organized person sometimes. I'm not, but who cares? One of the things I really wanted to experiment with was the vocoder, which I don't even know if you're going to be able to see this in the camera, but I wrote some lyrics in German and I did some vocoder shit for the song you're looking at right now. I really like the Roland 808, which who doesn't? And I also wanted to use more live sounding drums. And as you can tell, I can't really fit a drum kit in here, and I'm not really that good a drummer, so I'm obviously using samples, which is pretty standard shit. But I'm using an 808 sample up here, and I'm doubling it with like a live drum sounding kit. It's called the Novo Disco Kit, so new disco kit. And I changed a few parameters on there, specifically the snare and the kick, to make them sound more like how I wanted them to sound. And I'm essentially just doubling that up with an 808 to get kind of a more, I don't want to say full because that's kind of stupid, but yeah, a full sound. At the time of recording this video, I have one song mostly done. I won't have about 7 or 9. It depends. I might cut a couple songs. We'll see. But I mean, this has been quite the process. The philosophy of older Mount Juno stuff was I was a lot more okay with releasing stuff that, you know, was not as polished as I wanted it to be. I wanted to get all my ideas out, and I had a lot of ideas, and I didn't spend enough time on certain ideas, and you can definitely tell that with some of my older music. And I've kind of gravitated towards a new approach of, you know, actually putting a lot more time into a single album instead of trying to do all these things that I want to do. I'm not getting as many of my ideas out there, but I think the ideas I'm getting out there are a bit higher quality, which is, I think, good in the long run. As much as I like experimenting, creating a bunch of different things, I'm kind of past that phase. I think I'd rather just try and, you know, get more quality out instead of trying to, you know, experiment a bunch. I hope you guys enjoy the new album, and yeah, thanks for listening to everything I've made so far. And I really do enjoy having people who enjoy my music. I think that's pretty fucking neat. So yeah, happy Thanksgiving, I guess. I mean, I think this video is coming out on Thanksgiving. We'll see.